Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by, and welcome to Joyy Inc.'s first quarter 2022 earnings call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. After the management's prepared remarks, there'll be a question and answer session. I'd now like to hand the conference over to your host today, Jane Xie, the company's Senior Manager of Investor Relations. Please go ahead, Jane.
Thank you, operator. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Joyy's first quarter 2022 earnings conference call. Joining us today are Mr. David Xueling Li, Chairman and CEO of Joyy, Ms. Ting Li, our COO, and Mr. Alex Liu, the General Manager of Finance. For today's call, management will first provide a review of the quarter, and then we will conduct a Q&A session. The financial results and webcasts of this conference call are available at ir.joyy.com. A replay of this call will also be available on our website in a few hours. Before we continue, I would like to remind you that we may make forward-looking statements, which are inherently subject to risks and uncertainties that may cause actual results to differ from our current expectations. For detailed discussions of the risks and uncertainties, please refer to our latest annual report on Form 20-F and other documents filed with the SEC. Finally, please note that unless otherwise stated, all figures mentioned during this conference call are in US dollar. I will now turn the call over to our Chairman and CEO, Mr. David Xueling Li. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first quarter 2022 earnings call. Let me start the call with an overview of our first quarter results. In line with our previous expectations, as various parts of the world started to emerge from pandemic restrictions, a combination of forces, including macroeconomic weakness, seasonality, and unfavorable foreign exchange impact contributed to a drag on our top-line growth during the first quarter. For the first quarter of 2022, our group's total revenue was $623.8 million, decreasing by 3% year-over-year, among which Bigo's revenue was $534.6 million, decreasing by 8% year-over-year. However, our global business has demonstrated resilience despite the challenging market environment and weak seasonality. Such resilience is mainly attributable to our sustainable growth model and further improvements to our operating efficiency. When compared to prior year period, we achieved a steady improvement in profitability during the first quarter of 2022. Excluding YY Live, we recorded a non-GAAP net profit of $20.9 million and expanded our non-GAAP net margin to 3.3%, compared to a non-GAAP net loss margin of 3.7% in the prior year period. Bigo's non-GAAP net profit grew to $59.9 million, where its non-GAAP net margin improved to 11.2%. In addition, our operation cash flow remained healthy and reached positive $59.2 million in the first quarter. I talked the last quarter about some of the increasing macro complexities facing our business. As a global company with worldwide operations, we are not immune to international macroeconomic volatilities. during the initial outbreak of COVID-19 from early 2020 to mid-2021, we experienced an acceleration in business growth as the online social entertainment industry in general enjoyed greater user engagement and activities amidst prevalent lockdowns. However, as the world implied into the post-pandemic era, the long-term effects of COVID lingered, and the global economy suffered from anemic growth recovery and significant inflationary pressures. These adverse macro trends damped global consumers' confidence, reduced their spending power, and posed challenges for our business growth in the short run. However, from a medium and long-term perspective, global users' diversified individual demand of social entertainment remains high, and the long-term trend of transitioning social entertainment activities from offline to online is still irreversible. As we look further into our key operational regions include North America, Europe, Pacific East, the Middle East, and South Asia, our product penetration rate is still relatively low, which creates substantial headroom for us for further penetrate the market. On top of that, I want to share some thoughts on our operating philosophy. First, we remain committed to our globalization through localization strategy, which has been vital to the rapid growth in our global business over the past few years. Globalization and diversification help us minimize our single region exposure, cushioning the blow from cyclical fluctuations in certain regions. We will further localize our operation team by recruiting professionals with international backgrounds to drive our content localization, innovation, and integration. Second, we will grow our user community by offering diverse social entertainment services with rich, local, and premium content offerings. At the same time, by continuously upgrading our product and user interface and experience innovation, we seek to further optimize the immersive interest-based social networking experience of our users. With our rich and diverse content, efficiency content recommendation engine, and products that better nurture users' social networking needs, we should be able to further expand our product reach and ultimately fuel our monetization growth. Third, we will continue to execute our sustainable ROI-driven growth strategy and a balance between growth and profitability in 2022. We believe that under the current market environment, maintaining a strong operating cash flow is crucial to safeguard our mid to long-term growth. As a company established in 2005 and with 10 years of listing history, we have been constantly adapting to evolving marketing conditions, and have achieved significant breakthroughs. We believe that with our established operation capacity, continuous iteration on our user-centric products, persistence, execution on a sustainable growth model, and striving to maintain robust cash flows, we are in a stronger position to navigate the current macroeconomic challenges and seize emerging growth opportunities along the way. Now, let me dive deeper into the progress we made in each of our product lines. Let's start with Bigo Live. In the first quarter, Bigo Live's MAU grew by 8.8% year-over-year to 31.7 million. As I have just mentioned, impacted by global economic uncertainties, seasonal weakness, and multiple local currencies depreciating against the US dollar. Bigo Live's live streaming revenue and paying user in the first quarter decreased by 9.6% and 1.5% year-over-year, respectively. Geographically speaking, our operation in Europe was less affected when compared with prior year periods. During the quarter, both our revenue and the number of paying users from Europe sustained their growth momentum and increased by 10.4% and 3.1% year-over-year, respectively. During the first quarter, we continued to diversify our localized premier content offerings on Bigo Live, driving improvement in its user engagement. For example, we hosted the Europe Talent Campaign Legal, inviting streamers from various countries to produce local-themed interactive content for European users. In Malaysia, we partnered with WeTV to offer our users exclusive access to stream television dramas and reality shows on Bigo Live. Thanks to our diversified premier content, our user engagement improved, and as evidenced by the 9.9% and the 2.1% sequentially increase in the average duration of live streaming sessions and the average viewer time spent, respectively. Bigo Live has always been dedicated to fostering engaging and inclusive community, and it has been an important venue for global users to connect with others with similar background or interests. In March, we launched a community feature which is a space enabling users, especially new users, to establish and join different interest groups and quickly connect with like-minded people within each community. User can interact with friends, video post, and join their live sessions, thereby significantly improving the efficiency of social interactions. Since this feature launch, various interest-based communities have flourished with themes such as fitness, pop dance during the pop dance dining and others, thus enhance the diversification of our user content production, as well as promoting the consolidation of our real-time and non-real-time content pools. Next, let's turn to Likee. Following our proactive adjustment of Likee's marketing strategy, Likee's MAU fluctuation continued in the first quarter, and its MAU reached 61.8 million in the first quarter. Due to the proactive adjustment coupled with macro uncertainty and seasonal fluctuations, Likee's live streaming revenue declined by 11.9% year-over-year. However, its live streaming revenue in the Middle East region turned out slightly better than that in other markets, recording a year-over-year increase by 29.4%. Likee continued to cultivate a diversified and vibrant content community by nurturing talented creators through our comprehensive support program. In the first quarter, Likee focused on equipping creators with additional interactive tools and localized operational services. Following the introduction of Super Like and Super Follow features, we launched a personal voice chat feature in certain regions on Likee, encouraging additional real-time and direct interactions between creators and their fans group. In Southern Asia, during the local wedding season, Likee's local operations team launched a number of wedding-related challenges to encouraging creators to showcase traditional wedding culture feature, local wedding dresses, makeups, and ceremonies, attracting millions of page views. Thanks to our comprehensive creators support program, the number of Likee certified creators increased by 8.4% sequentially in the first quarter. To meet users' diversified social interactions need, we also launched a friend feature to allow users to create their own private community groups and exclusively share their personal content with designated groups, enabling individualized social experience on Likee. We believe that the friend feature will help merge Likee users' offline and online social networks and reduce their psychological barriers to produce and share their own content online. During the first quarter, as Likee continued the optimization of its short videos and live streaming features and enhanced integration between the two, user engagement with Likee live streaming improved, with average viewer time spent on live streaming growing by 45.6%, and Likee's live streaming DAU penetration rate increasing by 10.9% sequentially. Next, on Hago. During the first quarter, Hago maintained its monetization growth trajectory as its live streaming revenue increased by 24.2%, and the number of paying users grew by 40.5% year-over-year. Based on our product team's deep user insight, Hago upgraded several product features to explore new innovations in multiplayer social interaction and further enhance user social experience. This quarter, Hago launched a field feature called Hago Space, allowing users to create their own 3D digital avatars and interact with another in virtual 3D screens. Users can engage in a variety of activities in their 3D avatar, including voice chat, casual gaming, and gifting. Shortly after the new feature was launched, we observed positive impact on users' social activities and features channel penetration. In the following quarter, Hago plans to further enrich users' Hago Space experience by introducing more 3D virtual screens, virtual items, and casual games. Finally, some updates on capital return. In the first quarter, we continue to enhance return to shareholders and protect their interests through sharing repurchase program. In the first quarter, we bought back accumulated 80.2 million of our shares. As of March 31st, we have repurchased in total 350.8 million of our shares. Out of the previous announced repurchase program of $1.2 billion. Taken together, by capitalizing our diversified global product metrics and continuous operating efficiency improvements, our global business demonstrated resilience amidst a challenging external environment during the first quarter. We remain confident in the middle to long-term growth prospects of the global social entertainment market. We will continue to prioritize the cultivation of our content and social ecosystems and seek to maintain a strong cash flow while seizing emerging business opportunities along the way. We remain committed to delivering long-term value to our shareholders. This concludes my prepared remarks. I will now turn the call to our General Manager of Finance, Alex Liu, for our financial updates.
Thanks, David. Hello, everyone. Now let me go through the details of our financial results. Please note the financial information and non-GAAP financial information disclosed in our earnings press release is presented on a continuing operations basis, unless otherwise specifically stated. As the sale of Viva Life was substantially completed on February 8, 2021, with certain customary matters to be completed in the future, we have ceased consolidation of Viva Life business since February 2021. During the first quarter of 2022, due to increased macroeconomic uncertainties, seasonality, and some depreciation of certain currencies against US dollar, our total net revenues for the first quarter decreased to $623.8 million from $643.1 million in the same period of 2021. In particular, our live streaming revenues for the first quarter was $590.1 million, and other revenues in the first quarter increased by 16.3% to $33.7 million. Cost of revenues for the first quarter decreased by 4.6% year-over-year to $422.6 million. revenue sharing fees and content costs was $279.9 million in the first quarter, compared with $282 million in the same period of 2021. Bandwidth costs decreased to $20.9 million from $29.5 million in the same period of 2021, primarily due to the company's improved efficiency in bandwidth usage, partially offset by the increased bandwidth usage as a result of continued user base expansion of Bigo Live. Gross profit increased to $201.2 million in the first quarter, with our gross margin improved to 32.2% from 31.1% in the same period of 2021. As we continued to enhance our operating leverage and execute a prudent marketing strategy, operating expenses for the first quarter decreased by 28.1% to $200.6 million from $279 million in the same period of 2021. Among the operating expenses, sales and marketing expenses decreased to $104.4 million from $137.4 million due to disciplined sales and marketing spending on certain products, including Lucky and Hago. As a result, we continued to achieve a steady expansion in our GAAP and non-GAAP profitability for both Bigo segment and the entire group. Our GAAP operating income for the first quarter was $6.3 million, compared to operating loss of $73 million in the same period of 2021. Operating income margin for the first quarter was 1%, compared to operating loss margin of 11.4% in the same period of 2021. Our non-GAAP operating income for the first quarter, which excludes share-based compensation expenses, amortization of intangible assets from business acquisitions, as well as impairment of goodwill and investments and gain on disposal of subsidiaries and business, was $33.3 million in this quarter, compared to non-GAAP operating loss of $29.7 million in the same period of 2021. Our non-GAAP operating income margin for the first quarter was 5.3%, compared to non-GAAP operating loss margin of 4.6% in the prior year period. GAAP net loss from continuing operations attributable to controlling interest of Joyy in the first quarter of 2022 was $27.5 million, compared to net loss of $87.3 million in the same period of 2021. Net loss margin was 4.4% in the first quarter of 2022, compared to net loss margin of 13.6% in the corresponding period of 2021. Non-GAAP net income from continuing operations attributable to controlling interest of Joyy in the first quarter was $20.9 million, compared to non-GAAP net loss of $24.1 million in the same period of 2021. The group's non-GAAP net income margin was 3.3% in the first quarter of 2022, compared to non-GAAP net loss margin of 3.7% in the same period of 2021. Notably, Bigo's non-GAAP net income expanded to $59.9 million in the first quarter, with its non-GAAP net income margin improved to 11.2% from 1.6% in the prior year period. Together with our improving profitability, we have maintained a strong operating cash flow as well for the first quarter of 2022. We booked net cash inflows from operating activities of $59.2 million. Importantly, we have continued to enhance returns to shareholders through dividends and share repurchase. In accordance with our previously announced quarterly dividends plans approved in August and November 2020, we will be distributing a dividend of $0.51 per ADS for the first quarter of 2022, which is expected to be paid on July 6, 2022, to shareholders of record as of the close of business on June 23, 2022. Additionally, in September and November 2021, our board of directors have authorized additional share repurchase plans, under which the company may repurchase up to $1.2 billion of its shares in total. In the first quarter, the company had repurchased an additional $80.2 million of its shares under these programs. As of March 31, 2022, the company had in total repurchased approximately $315.2 million of its shares under these programs. These efforts demonstrate our confidence in the company's long-term growth and profitability prospects. We will continue to actively utilize share repurchase to create value for our shareholders and current market conditions. Going forward, as David just mentioned, while we prioritize investment into the cultivation of our content and social ecosystems, we will continue to execute our sustainable ROI-driving growth strategy. We plan to continue to enhance our operating leverage, improve returns for each of our products, and seek to maintain a strong operating cash flow, which we believe will provide us with greater financial flexibility to invest in our business and fundamental capabilities. For our business outlook, we have anticipated some negative impacts on users' online social entertainment activities from the gradual lift of pandemic-related lockdowns in certain countries. Macroeconomic environment volatilities and exchange rates fluctuations will also continue to pose uncertainties for our global business. We expect our net revenues for the second quarter of 2022 to be between $579 million and $600 million. We currently have limited visibility surrounding the macroeconomic environment, COVID-19 epidemic's long-term impact, and geopolitical uncertainties on our business and the markets in which we operate. Therefore, this forecast only reflects our current and preliminary views on the market and operational conditions, which are subject to change. That concludes our prepared remarks. Operator, we would now like to open up the call to questions. Thanks.
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer session. If you'd like to ask a question, please press star one on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. When asking a question, please state your question in Chinese first, then immediately repeat your question in English. Thank you. Our first question will come from Alex Poon at Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
早上好，谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我第一个问题是关于随着新冠疫情现在逐渐常态化，我们在上半年看到收入有一点的下滑，想请教一下管理层预期我们什么时候会开始看到一个拐点，恢复一个year-over-year的增长？另外刚刚管理层也提到，现在宏观经济也对我们的业务有一些挑战，想问一下我们怎么看全年的收入增长？谢谢。第二个问题，我想问一下，我们看到 TikTok 最近也是上线一些像 Twitch 的订阅服务，同时也计划在越南启动休闲游戏的业务，想请教一下管理层，我们在一些新的变现模式方面我们有什么进展？谢谢。My first question is related to the post-COVID normalization and causing out revenue weakness in first half. Can management share with us when do you expect revenue growth to return to positive year-over-year growth? And just now management also mentioned about the weaker macro environment impact on our business. How should we look at the full year 2022 revenue growth? My second question is related to TikTok, which recently has started subscription business like Twitch, and also plan to start casual game business in Vietnam. Can management share with us on new monetization strategy? Do we have any new plans? Thank you.
好，谢谢你的问题。我想第一个就是说，从去年下半年以来呢，就是随着这个全球这个用户基本上都开始恢复了这个线下出行，然后呢，这个用户的这个线上的社交娱乐活动实际上是有所减少的。而且呢，因为疫情带来的这个经济方面的这个后遗症啊，这些问题还在持续。当疫情的这个期间呢，这个各个地区呢，其实全球都采取了这个刺激经济的政策，还有那个宽松的货币政策。当这些政策逐渐取消以后呢，全球这个经济增长面临的这个不确定性和有这个通胀压力，对用户的这个付费的这个信心啊，还有他们的实际付费能力都造成了影响。当下这个宏观的不确定性呢，确实给我们的这个业务增速带来了这个挑战。但是呢，我觉得这个挑战呢，不仅仅是对我们一家企业的，其实全球所有的企业都面临了类似的挑战。对，但是呢，我是觉得机遇呢，往往也是伴随着挑战的。其实在2020年到2021年的这2年中呢，其实存在了各种各样的挑战。但是呢，我们也把握住了一些增长的机会。通过过去几年的这个全球市场的开拓、运营经验的积累，我们的这个营收规模不断扩大。从19年的9亿美元的营收规模，成长到了这个21年的26亿美元的营收规模，实现了这个全球业务的盈利，并且呢，也有了这个比较健康的这个经营现金流。这些都赋予我们更多的基础去克服这个宏观不确定性带来的挑战，然后把握一些未来的增长机会。对，我觉得您问我们的这个22年呢，我觉得我们的关键词还是要兼顾这个增长和利润，因为这个整个宏观不确定性的增加，这个使我们会更加审慎，还有这个紧密的评估市场的变化，坚持可持续性发展，而且呢，要以 ROI 为导向的这个增长策略，保持这个长期的这个业务的这个韧性。
Thank you, Alex. For your first question, as I just mentioned, since the second half of last year, as global users resume offline travel, there has been negative impact on users' online social activities. Yet we have noticed that the long-term effects of the pandemic on the global economy actually are still continuing in 22, especially as multiple regions have adopted financial stimulus plans during the pandemic, as well as a easing monetary policy, As these policies being gradually removed, we see increased uncertainty of the global economic growth, and also the rising inflation affected consumers' consumption confidence and also their paying capability. So such adverse macro trends definitely pose uncertainties and challenges for our business growth in the short term. And these challenges are not for us alone. They actually apply to all of the companies with worldwide operations. But we also want to point out is that opportunities often come with challenges. So as you can see in the past 2 years between 20 and 21, we successfully navigated multiple uncertainties during the pandemic and capture growth opportunities. Through the years of market operation, our business has reached a meaningful scale. We grow our revenue from 900 million in the year 19 to 2.6 billion in the year of 21, and we have achieved non-GAAP profitability since 21. And also we have managed to maintain a relatively healthy operating cash flow. So these experiences will all lay a solid foundation for us to navigate the current challenges posed by the macro environment and help us better see further growth opportunities. So for our 22 outlook, our keyword remains the same, is to balance growth and profit. And given the rising uncertainties of the macro environment, we'll continue to act prudently and closely track market dynamics as we progress. We will continue to execute our sustainable ROI-oriented growth strategy and seek to maintain the resilience of our global business. Thank you.
好呀，关于第二个问题呢，我是觉得这个新的变现模式，我们一直是在努力的尝试和探索的。在以前呢，我们已经做过很多的这个广告服务、会员服务。那么上个季度呢，像 Likee 呢也上线了一些像 Super Follow 这样的功能，就是允许创作者发布自己专属的内容，并且呢按月向用户呢收取订阅费。然后最近呢 Hago 也上线了这个 3D Hago Space 这个功能，也会涉及到一些变现模式方面的这个创新。但是呢，我觉得这些创新目前呢都还是处在早期的功能迭代阶段，更多的是从提升产品品质和用户体验角度出发的。短期来说呢，我觉得对营收的贡献会比较有限。以 Q1 为例吧，就是我们的非直播收入大概是3370万美元，占这个集团总收入的这个比例略高于 5%。所以呢，我们会继续观察用户对这些新功能和新变现模式的反馈，也会这个继续探索这方面的这个机会，推动我们这个收入的多元化。
And on your second question about new monetization, actually, if you notice that we have previously already explored advertisement and also membership, and these have been introduced in the previous years. And recently, we also have been actively exploring additional monetization tools. For example, Likee launched the Super Follow feature last quarter, and this allows creators to publish exclusive content and charge a monthly subscription fee to their fan groups. And the new 3D Hago Space feature, recently introduced by Hago, would also have some innovations in monetization. However, we'd like to admit that at the current stage, these features are still in the early stage of development. And they are more targeted to improve product user experience. So their contribution to revenue in the short term would be relatively small. For example, in Q1, you can see that our non-live streaming revenue is about 33.7 million, accounting for slightly over 5% of our group's revenue. So we'll continue to observe user feedback on these new features and we'll continue to explore opportunities to drive further diversification of our revenue stream. Thank you.
Our next question will come from Thomas Chong at Jefferies. Please go ahead.
早上好，谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我第一个问题呢是关于我们在海外的市场在各地的话的竞争格局出现了什么的变化？然后再看下半年的话呢，我们应该怎么看我们的业务的趋势？我第二个问题是关于我们的运营的费用。我们看下半年还有全年我们应该怎么看呢？每一条线呢的趋势的，然后看今一年的 margin 的话，可以分享一下吗？Thanks management for taking my questions. My first question is about the competitive landscape across different regions, and how should we think about the second half business trend? And my second question is about the operating expenses side. How should we think about the expense outlook as well as the margin in 2022? Thank you.
好，谢谢你的问题。我觉得这个竞争格局的变化呢，这个目前的这个压力主要是来自于宏观环境。然后就如我刚才讲过，就是随着用户逐渐回归线下活动，那么线上活动的娱乐时间呢，这个还有这个 engagement time。这个粘性都会出现一些波动，然后呢，对用户的付费呢也会有所影响，所以呢，这个所有公司呢就需要通过这个更好的产品和服务的体验来应对更广泛的这个线上甚至线下的这些服务竞争，来赢得用户的这个活跃和变现。因此呢，我觉得我们需要回归用户使用产品的初衷，回归产品的本质来思考产品的战略。我们未来还是会继续聚焦产品的本质，耕耘内容和社交生态，围绕提升用户的社交体验，不断的推动产品功能的这个创新。从长远看呢，我觉得全球的社交娱乐市场还是特别巨大的，竞争是一个常态，需要长期的投入与耕耘。在宏观环境不确定的情况下呢，把控风险，确保长期可持续发展是最关键的。就是正如我刚才所提的，通过过去的积累呢，我们全球化业务已经得到了一定的规模，具备全球多市场本地化运营的能力，而且呢已经扭亏为盈，有比较健康的运营现金流支撑。我们在把控风险、坚持可持续的增长模式方面呢也比较有前瞻性，这也是我们的一个竞争优势。我相信在充沛的现金流和稳定的这个增长模式的支撑下，我们会好好的把握增长的机会，进一步提高我们市场占有率和影响力。关于下半年的业务趋势呢，第二个季度呢，通常就是这个比较弱的一个季度，属于这个中东斋月呀，还有这些宏观环境的这个持续影响带来的这个增长的不确定性。但是呢，根据我们这个以往的经验呢，一般在下半年这个业务增长趋势都会好于上半年。但是呢，这个随着这个市场的这个现在的这个全球这个宏观环境的变化比较大吧，我们还会密切的观察市场的这个动态。
Thank you, Thomas, for your question. Regarding your question on competitive landscape, I think that the main pressure comes from the macro environment. As I've just mentioned, there would be a short-term fluctuation of users' online activity, time spent, and stickiness, and at the same time on their paying capacity as well. So this means that for all industry players, we need to gain user engagement and monetization opportunity by providing better products with better service and compete with a wider range of competitors, both online and offline. So that's why I believe that we should revisit the original intention of users, what drives them to use these products, and focus on the fundamentals when we are planning our product strategy. So we will continue to focus on the fundamentals of our products, cultivate our content and social ecosystem, and continuously innovate our products to improve users' social experience. I still believe that from a long-term perspective, the global social entertainment market has huge potentials, and competition will always be there. It will be a long-term marathon as compared to a short-term game. And in such time of increasing macro uncertainty, risk control, and ensuring long-term sustainable growth are more critical than ever. As I've just mentioned, through years of operation, our business have already reached a meaningful scale, and we have established worldwide operational capacity and achieved non-GAAP profitability. And our cash flow remain to be relatively healthy as well. I believe that we have already gained additional competitive advantage by being proactive and forward-looking in terms of risk control and ensuring our sustainable growth model. We believe that with the support of our strong cash flow and also our prudent growth model, we'll be able to better grasp the growth opportunities and further increase our market share. Thank you.
Thomas， 你好，对于您的第二个问题，我来回答一下。其实刚刚有提到啊，得益于我们坚持可持续以 ROI 为导向的一个增长策略，同时呢，不断提升我们的运营效率。可以看到一季度啊，我们实现了好于以往淡季的盈利表现。Bigo segment 实现了 11.2% 的 non-GAAP 的净盈利，整个集团实现了 3.3% 的 non-GAAP 的净盈利。那么对比去年同期一季度，我们的毛利提升了，各项 non-GAAP 的费率，包括市场销售、研发以及管理费率也都有所节约。当下宏观不确定性呢进一步的增加，我们会继续坚持可持续的增长策略，继续提升整体的运营效率，持续推动各产品线早日实现正的循环。那么我们预期啊，2022年 Bigo 板块有希望毛利保持稳定。另外呢，运营费率在整体提效的前提下会获得进一步的节约，所以 Bigo 板块的 non-GAAP 的盈利水平在21年的基础上啊，会进一步得到提升。那么集团其他板块目前各产品线也在稳步的收窄亏损，预期亏损会在22年这个进一步的大幅的收窄，所以整个集团的这个 non-GAAP 的 margin 会进一步的优化。对。
As I've mentioned just now, thanks to our sustainable growth strategy and continuous enhanced operational efficiency, we have achieved steady improvement in both GAAP and non-GAAP profitability in the first quarter. Bigo segment achieved non-GAAP net margin of 11.2%, and the group achieved a non-GAAP net margin of 3.3%. So if you look at comparison between Q1 and the same period last year, both our gross margin was improved, and we saw cost saving happening across multiple non-GAAP operating expense items. So given the current macroeconomic uncertainty, we'll continue our sustainable ROI-driven growth strategy and further enhance the overall operational efficiency and drive the further improvement at each of our product lines. And so for Bigo segment, we expect its gross margin will remain stable in the year 22, and cost savings would be achieved on various items due to further improve operating efficiency. And we expect Bigo segment's non-GAAP profitability for the full year to be further improved based on the full year level in the year 21. And for the other segments, we're still steadily proceeding narrowing losses on various product lines and also improved its operating efficiency. We're also expecting other segments to continue to narrow losses in the year 22. Thank you.
Our next question will come from Yiwen Zhang at China Renaissance. Please go ahead.
早上好，管理层，谢谢接受我的提问。我这边有关于现金使用的问题啊，就我们看到公司账上现金非常充裕，如果结合公司战略的话，我们应该怎么样考虑那个现金持有的一个优先次序呢？是会在海外业务上面多投入一点呢，还是说会做多一点回购，还是会考虑分红？ Thanks for taking my question. So I have a question regarding cash usage. We know that there's abundant cash on our balance sheet. How should we think about the usage priority? Namely, how do we balance business investments in overseas, share repurchase, or even dividend payout? Thank you.
谢谢啊。我觉得实际上在资金的使用规划上呢，我们还是会以比较谨慎的态度。基于这个长期业务的需求进行规划，然后呢，相对来讲应该是一个平衡的，既能保持这个自身的现金的这个充沛，这个现金储备的健康，也能够这个照顾这个股东的利益。对，在业务方面呢，我们这个会持续保持这个海外业务的投入，但是我们还是会坚持以这个 ROI 的这个增长为这个基本的策略。对，然后呢，在股东这个回馈方面呢，这个为了感谢这个投资人长期以来的支持，其实我们也有一些积极的行动。20年我们宣布了这个总额达到5亿美金的分红计划，分3年派发。截止到1季度，我们已经累计派息2.6亿美元。2021年的这个第3季度呢，我们也追加了12亿美金的这个股票回购计划。到1季度末呢，我们累计回购了这个该计划下面的3.2亿美金的这个股票。我们这个用股东的这个回馈的投入呢，占这个公司市值的这个比重实际上是非常大的。我也相信从这些实际举措中，市场能够感受到公司对股东回馈的诚意。
Thank you for your question. In terms of cash usage, we will continue to be prudent and plan based on the long-term business development needs. I believe that based on our current cash position, we should be able to balance between keeping a sufficient cash flow for our own growth and also enhancing return for our shareholders. So in terms of our business, we will continue to invest in our global business to fuel organic growth and also continue to execute ROI-oriented growth strategy to create more value. And in the meantime, to reward our investors for their long-term support, we have been actively enhancing shareholder returns via dividends and share buybacks. In the year 2020, we have announced dividend plans with a total size of 500 million to be quarterly distributed in the following 3 years. And as of the end of the first quarter, we have already declared approximately 260 million of cash dividends under such dividend plan. And in the third quarter in the year 2021, we have expanded our share repurchase program by 1.2 billion. And by the end of the first quarter, we had repurchased approximately 320 million under these plans. So if you look at our overall capital return to shareholders as a percentage of our current market cap, that is a very sizable amount. We believe that our investors can see our sincerity from our actions as well. And that's the end of our call. Thank you for joining, and we look forward to speaking with everyone next quarter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This does conclude the call today. Thank you all for joining. You may now disconnect.